Welcome to Coffee and Candor, I guess season 2?
Or 2.0?
Yeah, 2.0, something like that. This is Chris.
This is Amber. Welcome to our podcast.
This is Ross.
And Brandy. And we're back, bitches.
Yeah, we have had a, about a little over a 2-year hiatus. And boy, has shit changed. What's changed?
Everything.
Amber and I have 2 grandchildren.
Yes.
And they are adorable.
They are precious.
Yep.
And rotten.
Spoiled rotten. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the only way for children to be.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess Ross and I are still rocking along the same. We're just older. Feeling it more.
Yeah.
And it is Christmas Eve of 2023, and it has never been less Christmassy ever.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's like 65 degrees.
Ross is wearing shorts.
I'm wearing shorts.
Yeah.
They said we're supposed to get winter after, I think, the first of the year.
Well, I was looking next weekend. We're supposed to get down to the 20s.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I can't help but think we're in short wearing weather now, and that sounds like a perfect mix for a tornado.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep, that sounds like tornado activity.
Yes. So.
All right. So we got a couple of things we're going to talk about today. The first is the class action lawsuit with Clayton Mobile Homes.
Well, I looked into that, and the class action lawsuit is not for the things, because I was hoping that our friends who just bought a Clayton home could get a hold of that, get into on that action.
Well, let's tell everybody what happened. So some of our friends, they bought property and they were able to pay for that cash, which is awesome. And then they went to a local retailer.
Yeah. I'm going to put it out there. They bought it at Love Homes in Benton. Because fuck them.
Now they can sue me.
No, they can't. Not only if we lie.
Yeah, that's true.
No lies.
So they went there and got a pretty expensive.
And they had it. It's not one they got off the lot. They had this home built to their specs.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like a display model.
So I mean that's why it took a little while to get it.
Brand new, put together, wasn't sitting out on the lot.
Mm-mm.
Right. So it took them forever to get it delivered, and then it sat there.
What, 2 months?
For what seemed like a long time.
It did seem like a long time.
Before they were able to finally get moved in. Well, they've been in it now for 2 months?
They moved in mid-September.
September.
About 3 months.
So a little over 3 months.
Yeah.
And they've got water damage.
Like visible
substantial
inside.
Water damage because the contractors did not assemble it correctly.
But they didn't put the caps on the exhaust pipes coming out.
Well, there are 3 of those pipes coming out of the top of this home because it's a double wide. 1 didn't have a cap. 2 didn't have anything. They were just open holes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the one that didn't have the cap, one of those is the one where the water damage was visible and they could see it from the inside.
And that's after 3 different inspectors inspected the trailer.
Yeah, it was two from the contractors and one
from VA.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, the strictures, when they bought this home, part of the reason it took so long was waiting on a VA inspector to come inspect it to make sure it was up to all their regulations.
Their standards, yeah.
Because our friend is a veteran and a VA, and they couldn't even step into the home. They couldn't look at it. Couldn't
drive by it or anything.
Until they had inspected it.
Yeah, they had to look the other way if they drove by.
Yeah, the VA is such a pain in the ass to use for stuff like that.
Well, I can tell you my experience with the VA as far as homes. I used to work for a pest control company, and we would have to do what's called a clearance letter on houses when they were being sold, and that was regardless whether it was a conventional loan or it was a VA loan or whatever. And so a lot of times we got VA homes that were maybe a guy and his wife had bought it. He was in the military, and he got shipped out. And they tried to sell it. I've actually seen this very case. And finally just defaulted on it. Well, it's backed by the VA, so it goes to HUD.
Right.
and they'll have an inspector come out. And I mean, literally, I've seen these guys at work. They'll come in and, like, they've got a little checklist. They don't necessarily know anything about construction. And
I think that would be some important.
yeah,
shit
you
for
think
an
that would be
inspector to
important for a
have.
home inspector.
Like,
But-
well, I'm going to be a surgical inspector, but I mean, my qualifications are I had surgery once.
Yeah, I stayed in a Holiday Inn Express.
But anyway, I mean, they'll just go down this checklist and oh, we've got a outlet cover off here. Okay, well, there's a check mark for electric. We've got a faucet in the kitchen that has a little drip. Okay, well, there's a check mark for plumbing. I mean, they don't. It's just they're not very thorough from what I've seen.
Well, clearly, if they did not notice
Yeah.
that they're like open holes going into the home in which
Well,
water could pour.
Well, and I mean, yeah, that seems like kind of a no-brainer. But minimum, if the contractor that put the house together inspected it, you'd think he ought to know what it supposed to look like.
Well, yeah.
You would think.
And so,
I mean, I could get on the roof and say, "Hey, there's a giant hole here."
Right,
I
like,
don't
I-
think that's right.
Exactly.
I have zero qualifications in the construction field, but I
I
can
wonder
go.
if we saw any of them get up on the roof.
I don't know.
Most of it, they didn't want them there when they were inspecting. So I
That's
would have wanted
iffy.
to be there to inspect the inspector.
Oh, I'm
You know what I
telling
mean?
you, yeah.
They'd have been like, "Could you crawl out of my ass, madam?"
Well,
and I would be like, "No, I've got to see everything you're doing here because I have sunk my entire life savings,
into this. So. Well, that's another thing. When I worked for that same pest control company, I became the guy that did the treatment on all new construction in Central Arkansas that we handled, and that was 25 to 30 different builders. I would bet you there was only one or two of them that I would trust to build a house for me, because I've seen so many things like, ooh, that's not right. I mean,
It scares me
It's
to build
kind
a house.
It's kind of like anything else. Once you pull back that curtain, like we said about the church and all the other things, once you see, it can be very unsettling because
you know what to look for now.
yeah, and you know
exactly.
when things aren't or what's overlooked, it can just be a lot. So because of our friend, we started looking at to see how common this was. And
Yeah, Alexis told me look up. She said you need to look up that was it Clayton?
Clayton.
The Clayton Homes. I almost said controversy on TikTok.
well,
Oh
Yeah,
my
I
God.
don't think it's a conspiracy.
no, it's just a goddamn
You don't
shame.
know, Chris. It might be.
Yeah, it could be.
And so we all did a little deep dive there, and it's pathetic, y'all. I mean, people have this idea that mobile homes are a cheaper route, and I'm here to tell you, they're not, because you
Especially not in this day. and
Yeah,
time.
especially today, they're $200,000-$300,000.
right, like literally, you could buy or build a stick-built home for that much or less. You know, used to the draw to them was because they were cheaper or because they were quicker. But our friends waited a year for this home, so it was
And-
neither.
Well,
Yeah.
and the thing is, I mean, over the years, I think the regulations on building them have improved.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, because
But-
we went to Love's, and the guy said specifically these are built to HUD standards,
Yes.
which are the normal
Yes.
stick-built
Right, so
construction
the-
standards.
But
There are
at
a
the
lot of
same
protections
time-
that didn't used to be there.
Yeah, there are. But at the same time, they always go the cheapest route.
Right.
So in your kitchen, in your bathrooms, you'll have plastic sinks rather than
But you
steel
don't
or
have to
porcelain
have
or
those
you know,
things because-
you can get them.
But they're
if
upgrades.
if you're going for the bottom dollar, and that's what they do usually when they order them for a display model,
Right.
that's what it's going to have in it. Plastic faucets. Plastic faucets look fine, but after a few years of use, they loosen up. They get
Well,
you know,
yeah, I mean, plastic is going to deteriorate.
Yeah.
yeah.
And but that's the thing. That's the default, but that it doesn't have to be that way.
No, it doesn't.
Our house which is a mobile home, and it has its own issues, God bless, but that is not the issue. I mean, it has stainless steel sinks and things like that, porcelain, and we don't have any plastic, but if you don't do enough research and know enough about it
Yes.
to specify and stay on top of those sort of things, that's what you'll get.
Well, and in this day and time, almost everybody has a smartphone. It's easy to
Oh, yeah.
research anything.
but it takes time, and it takes.
Well, but to be fair, from what I understand, the problem is not with Clayton as a manufacturer.
No, it's with the
with the
contractor.
contractor,
It's with the
because
contractor.
I'm sure that they do just like the whole military grade bullshit,
Yeah,
where
well,
they go with the lowest.
Yeah, military
Lowest
grade is
bidder.
the lowest bidder.
Yeah,
Right.
everybody says, "Oh, it's military grade." That should scare the shit out of
Right.
everybody.
You obviously don't know what you just said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But no, Clayton, as far as like mobile homes, they're some of the best. I mean,
Right.
they used to be, and I don't know because I haven't been in the market for a
Well-
long time, but they used to be like the top
Well,
shelf.
and that's another thing. When we bought our first house, it was a single wide mobile home, and we got it installed, and we had literally been there 3 or 4 months.
Oh, it hadn't been even that long.
Yeah, it was, and we had a tornado hit, and it literally looked like somebody had loaded that house with dynamite and set it off. There was nothing left. We literally, the only thing we had left was what we were wearing. And
When I
So
tell
we
you
get-
the metal frame was wrapped around a tree.
And
Yeah.
Brandy's bra flapping in the
Yeah.
tree.
No, that was
Yeah.
like we didn't get that bra back. It may
And so-
still be in that tree.
And so when that happened, there were other people in the area, so they set up the Chamber of Commerce as like the place to meet. And we met the insurance guy there, and he said, "Yeah, we got to go out and look at it." I said, "Well, it's pretty much total loss. I mean, well, we still got to go."
And we
out
kept
and look."
telling him like, "There's
So-
nothing left."
So we drove out there. He pulls up beside it, and he's like, "Yep, that's total loss."
I think y'all could have saved me a
So-
trip, and
so-
dude, we told you,
That's
man.
a pile of
Insurance paid off, and we went back to the place that we had bought that first house. And we knew the family. We had gone to school with some of the family and everything, but they were just, they were just decent people. And they said, "Oh my God," they were freaking out. And they said, "Well, here's what we're going to do. Y'all pick out one of these plans that you like, the layout and everything else, and we will get the ordering spec sheet for it. You do whatever you want to do, and we are not going to make a dime on this house."
And they did not. They did us
at that
right.
point, we were like, "Okay, cool. Let's really do this." So this is a single wide, and I mean, we literally, like, the floors were 3/4 inch plywood, not fiberboard. The outside was vinyl siding. Well, under that vinyl siding, all the way around the house, we put 1/2 inch plywood. Shingle roof. I mean, we just upgraded everything we could upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
That was a solid house. That house is now 24 years old.
And it still
And
looks as
we
good inside
sold
as it ever did.
We sold it to somebody, and it still looks just as good as it ever did
Well,
because it was built right.
when it was
Now,
delivered,
and it's a single wide, so you didn't have to like put it together and all that. So as
I
long
think
as it
that's
was
where a
built right,
lot
you're
of
good.
issues are
Go-
coming from.
I think so
because
too.
if it's not, because
Yeah,
that
they're
means
not
Well-
putting them together
Yeah.
correctly.
Well, that's another thing too.
And not
you know
being-
the one right here on the highway where they were hauling 2 halves of that house.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
the guy took out the
knocked out our power.
lines,
Yeah.
tore the roof off.
Oh, yeah, that
part
son
of the
of a
mobile
bitch.
home. I mean,
But now, when the guy that delivered that home for us said, "I want you to know this single wide is as heavy as a lot of double wides I've installed," and that's because none of the upgrades were for flash; they were all for like durability and
Yeah.
and a lot of people.
And it worked.
A lot of people, that's where they get caught up with the mobile homes.
Well, the other thing too is they order those lot models to just, oh, you got a jacuzzi tub, you got this,
Yeah.
you got that. And, oh, it's so pretty, everything's great. But then when you get to looking,
Yeah,
you don't have shutoffs for the plumbing. You
Well,
you
or
don't have, this is
the
just,
trade-offs for that fancy jacuzzi tub, now you have plastic sinks.
Yeah.
And things like that, because they're going to save where they can.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's appalling to me. I mean, these are literally people's like life savings. This is not a small investment by any stretch of the imagination. And the problem is, once water damage has gotten into something like
No,
that, because a
you're
mobile
done.
home is enclosed,
You're
you
done.
know.
Well, I can
I
tell
don't
you
see
this.
how they could ever, because they're telling our friends, "Oh, we're gonna make it
Yeah,
right."
yeah.
To me, the only way you can make it right
Get a
is
new
give me a
trailer.
new house, because
That's what I said too.
I can tell you this too. I work for one of the major cities around here, and 2 years ago we had a major flooding event, and there was one road near the edge of town that was right by the river, and I bet you that road, probably 60% of the houses on that road were not completely underwater, but they had 2-3 foot of water in them, and these were $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 houses, and that was
Oh,
before,
my
and that was
goodness.
before the big, price blow up on housing.
Yeah.
Literally, there was mainly one company redid all these houses. They would literally go into these houses and take everything from about 5 or 6 foot up down to the studs, down to the concrete on the floor, on the ground, whatever. So literally 5-6 feet up, from there down, it was down to bare bones.
and if you think about it,
Put a bunch of fans in it, let it blow and dry and everything else for weeks before they would come back in and start rebuilding it.
And if
But
you-
I mean, they basically took half of that house completely apart.
And if you think about it, that was from flooding, so it was from the bottom up. Now
Yeah.
what we're talking about is from the top down, and they would have to, in order to do
it's
it
not
right,
visible. You don't know
right?
where it's at.
So you don't know where the demarcation line
Well,
is
on the house we're talking about, there's only one spot inside the house
that
that
shows.
you can visibly see water damage. There's 2 other holes. Where did that water
All that
go?
water went
Well, there
somewhere.
was a woman on TikTok. Her story sounds a lot like theirs. She knew, I think, mold was starting to show up. This was brand new place, just like them. Hasn't lived in it very long. And they finally found it was coming. She had the built-in bookshelves next to a fireplace.
Uh-huh.
That's where the issue was. They took these bookshelves out, and they were covered in mold. She had to do a
They were like
complete-
built into the wall
Yeah.
kind of thing. Oh, okay.
They had
Okay.
to rip almost everything out of
Oh,
that
yeah.
Oh
place
yeah, you got to.
and redo it. But she's on TikTok. She's only lived in it 8 months, and it's back. After
After they
already
did
been
all that,
Because
it's already been back.
It's
She's
still
only lived in it
somewhere
8
in there, and
months.
it's
And
still
see,
wicking.
that's what scares
it's
me
just
about
like
it.
take a glass of water and take a paper towel. If you lay just the edge of that paper towel in that water will wick down
put
and
another-
soak that
yep.
whole entire
Yeah.
piece of paper towel.
Yep.
Well, and the
I
thing
mean-
to me, in order to even begin to make this right, what they would have to do, in my estimation, would be move our friends out for 2 to 3 months, which, if they cause the problem, that should be on them.
Yeah, a hotel or whatever.
Yeah, a hotel or a short-term rental, whatever.
But they have cats, so
Well, and I mean, like, they'd have to,
that would either be boarding or a
right,
pet-friendly
and
hotel.
again, that should not be on their dime.
No, absolutely
because, and because you'd have to like clear those rooms of all their stuff.
Yes.
You'd have to like dismantle
the
walls
sheetrock, everything
and the
down to the studs.
yeah, and,
And
like you
it's-
said, run
You can
fans.
dry out those studs, but you have to have them completely uncovered.
and that's
Insulation
not
gone.
something that can be done while they're living
No.
there.
No.
Well, and it's
Absolutely
not
not.
like they just got married. They've got an entire house full of shit.
They've got 4 housefuls of shit. Let's be honest.
Okay,
But,
yeah, but
no, I mean
that's a lot of moving.
right, and
I mean, you
none
can't
of this
just-
should be on their dime.
Yeah, you can't
No.
just scoot the shit to the middle of the room.
No, and
If it was me, I would be pushing for them to just replace the house.
and
Yeah.
there's no
ultimately-
way they'll do
That
that.
would be the
Ultimately,
easiest thing.
you do not know the extent of where that water
Well,
got to.
and I'm gonna be really honest. Like, it scares me for our friends' physical health because neither one of them are just hardy people. Like, it just really because mold toxicity.
Oh,
I've
it's
got a
awful.
young friend right now that they found it in the bathroom of their rental home.
Oh yeah.
And she's been terribly sick. Like, she had to quit work. I mean, just it, and And that was limited exposure. And so if they don't get it, I guess what scares me most is that slow, because mold is insidious. It's really hard to get rid of. And if you don't know it, it's unseen, but you're breathing those spores. And the toll it can take on their health, physical health. Well, and probably mental health too, because I would think toxic mold, and that scares me for their physical health. It angers me because this was supposed to be their happy ending. And it's not right. And it's strictly a case of negligence. And like you said, I really don't think that the onus is on the people who built the home, the factory.
No, it's on the contractors.
But the contractor works for the lot that they bought it from.
Yeah.
And so...
And how much, that contractor...
What kind of insurance? I'm sure they're bonded, but...
Exactly.
Because this is not good. I don't think this will be handled correctly. I don't think
so either. And they're going to be out $250,000 fucking dollars because of it.
I don't think they're going to put out the financial to do it right. But if it were done,
I'd be up their ass every single day, and I'd be like, "You're bringing a new trailer here because
you might as well just do it."
I mean, they brought in three different inspectors that didn't catch it to keep it from happening.
Well,
so how do we know they're going to find all the mold that's
what scares me. Once it's fixed, they didn't catch it. The whole reason is their inspectors didn't see this gaping problem. So how can you be sure that it's been taken care of?
Well,
I'd never feel comfortable.
No, I wouldn't either.
Another thing I can tell you, I've been noticing several conversations lately in the Cabot area on Facebook. We're not talking about mobile homes. We're talking about stick-built homes in the area. And I think it's by a certain company or two. And I've seen people...
Well,
a lot of people talking about...
Who are those companies allegedly for entertainment purposes only?
Well, I don't remember the company. I don't remember the builders' names.
Are these new builders?
Yes.
Okay.
New home builders.
I was like, is one Blackwood?
And literally, well, that's... I don't think he's doing that much anymore.
I don't think he's really active anymore.
He had a lot of
Karma
issues
got him real bad
20 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, he shit everybody on this neighborhood, and then his son killed himself, and he got caught fucking a gay man in one of his properties and stuff.
Allegedly for entertainment purposes.
No, not allegedly. He got caught.
You're going to have to dial that back because I hadn't heard that story.
Because he went from developing to real estate, like normal real estate.
He was the big cheese
one of the
around
properties.
Here for a while.
Yeah, that's what we went through.
I know.
And he got caught nailing some dude. I'm assuming he was a gay man.
If not,
that would make it really bad.
He wasn't sure yet.
In one of the properties that he had listed.
Yeah.
If he wasn't gay, he needs to speak to the manager.
But
this
anyway,
is not what I ordered.
These new issues, and I don't remember exactly what all it was. It was several things, but several people got on both of these conversations saying, "Well, you better watch them because what they did to us was mess around until our 1-year warranty was up, and then
I
they
think
were
one
like,
of those is Rosh Coleman.
Yes,
I think
they're
maybe
bad
it is.
about that.
Yeah.
Well, see,
The
but
Rosh Coleman over on Kerr, I know they have a lot of foundation issues.
Yeah,
Really?
but that's on those people for not being on their asses.
Well,
because
and I
let me
agree
tell you
with
what.
that,
Let me tell you
but
what.
I guarantee
Chris, you
what's
can't-
I would be at the Better Business Bureau at day 364.
They would think I was a fucking hemorrhoid.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. They think I was herpes. This motherfucker ain't never going to go away.
You ultimately can't make somebody do something.
No.
I was trying to
But I can have it documented for when I sue the shit out of them.
True. But I was trying to get permission from the state to do something. I was calling this guy every other day. We're working on it. It's under review. It's this. It's that. Finally,
See, I have a tendency.
administration was like, let's just do it.
See, I have a tendency to show up at motherfuckers' offices if I get to run around too
and
much.
see, that's
and you
what
do
I
that
really,
a couple of times, and they don't want that anymore.
That's what I really fear is going to happen to our friends. Even though they've contacted them and
They're
going to
hem and haw around.
They're going to hem and haw around so long, and they're going to go, well, we did what we could before your warranty ran out.
No, they were
Yes,
notified.
That was a lot of
before-
the other complaints for them too. Is the contractors just push everything to the very end?
Oh well, that's fine, and let them, because here's the thing: it's not the time; it's when they were notified.
Right.
So if they were notified at the 6-month mark, but they don't get to it till 18 months, it's
Right.
still under warranty.
Because I know I was over there helping them unpack because she was going to have surgery right after they moved in, and I was trying to help her get her kitchen livable. And they happened to have called the maintenance guy for the area, and they found several problems. Now, these were factory problems.
Not related to
Not
the
related
water
to this.
and all that.
It was related to just, well, it was a kind of a mixture.
Installation.
Some of it was installation issues, but some of it was factory issues. And so, I mean, while they had him there, they were trying to point out everything they could, which is exactly what I would have done.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, well, I think we've dealt with everything I can deal with today. And I was thinking, motherfucker.
Be like, good, get your phone out and record what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I understand that because he's got other appointments made.
But he kind of,
It's kind of like going to the doctor for one thing and
Right.
then telling the doctor a list of other things. And,
and
like,
I get,
I can't
I
do all
see
that
both
right now.
sides. Like, but at some point, like,
oh yeah, they definitely need to keep calling. So I've got
Yeah.
this and this and
But
this.
you're going to have to, and
Yeah.
I don't
and I
think
just
they're
feel
going to
like
do that.
they're going to get major runaround. I feel like they're already getting major runaround.
Yeah.
They just. And then after watching those TikToks,
Oh my god,
that
Yeah,
was
those
I
people.
was shocked.
I mean, these people, these women, because I don't remember seeing a guy on any of them, but these women, I mean, they're $190,000, $200,000 deep in a fucking in a money pit.
like you said,
looks
that
like
one
it
lady
needs-
with her disabled daughter.
Well, yeah, they
yeah.
pulled the bathtub up and it looked like carpet.
Every one of these things
Wow.
needed
It
to be
was so bad.
condemned.
That's
and
so
it had a
sad.
huge, like, probably foot and a half hole under the tub, like where the pipes and stuff.
Like going to the
like,
under.
the pipe is this big, and then they got a hole.
Oh no,
this
that's
big.
typical. You'll see
Really?
that. You'll see that in a stick-built home.
Well,
And they don't.
how do things not
It's that
get
they
in there?
allow for a tolerance.
A tolerance,
Not
motherfucker.
8
Drive a
inches
car
on
through
either
there.
side.
I'm telling
Jesus.
you, that's what they do. even on a slab, like around where the bathtub plumbing goes through, it'll be a square. Now that pipe may only be 2 inches around, but
Okay,
it'll be a big
but
square.
I can see that in a stick built house because, I mean, there's like, but what's between?
Yeah, I mean, I understand it because you want plenty of room to get your
Right.
stuff. I don't understand why they don't put like plastic or like
Or
cover
something.
it somehow in the
well,
room.
I mean, to me, I would shoot like some expanding foam or something
Something.
in there, something. But that's not. I mean, that is typical, even on stick-built homes, is
Really?
to have those big cutouts
That's
like
surprising to me.
that. That's typical.
I mean, that
Even on a-
shows
like I
don't
said,
know.
now I'm
even on
like,
a
what's
slab.
behind my tub?
Right, like
Yeah, go look. You'll probably.
little-
I don't want to.
a bunch of gnomes just living up in there. and
Yeah,
shit.
yep. Ant farm.
I don't know. I think I would be happier with gnomes.
Ugh, in the
than
summer,
other
we get
things.
ants coming out of our bathtub.
Oh, we get ants a lot.
Oh my
too.
god!
Well, it would probably like scare you if you realized how many ants were like every acre. It's in the millions.
Well, then don't fucking
Don't tell
tell
Or
us.
spiders.
I tell you what, I was really shocked.
Spiders are in
No,
the
leave it
millions
alone,
per
Ross.
I was really shocked when Austin came to help fix our wall that was just like
Oh,
moving,
yeah.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
outside wall, and we took this because Austin and Chris wanted to cut a hole in the wall. I'm like, can we just go on the outside and take the siding off and cut a hole there?
That would be
You know,
easier.
where
That's
Better.
you can't see it.
Better.
So they cut a hole, and I was surprised how clean
We still
it
got
was.
to cut a hole in the wall, though.
I was expecting there was going to be bugs and
Yeah.
spiders, and there was like nothing in there. I was like, that makes
Really?
me feel better.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times new construction is treated before it's before they start. If they pour a slab, it's treated before they pour the slab. Then they come in and they start doing their construction. And like if there's brick outside, they'll come back after the brick is up and they'll drill holes through the mortar and inject poison, whatever,
For
Yeah.
termites.
pest control substances
Well,
in
I mean,
there.
I know, but this house is 20,
Yeah.
whatever years. I mean, they're gonna move in eventually.
I can tell you. I can tell you this. When I worked for that pest control company, there was older houses in the area that we would work on, and they may have been treated like 30 or 40 years ago. Well, back then, they had whole different chemicals that they've since banned now. You could literally take a little shovel or a hammer or something and disturb the dirt, and you'd be like, "Ooh, this is one of those houses." Okay.
Still smell like
I
that
mean, it's
strong.
strong. Of course,
And you
Well,
won't
we
have
got to
your
ban
bugs.
that. That shit works. We got to ban it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if that shit works, we got to ban it. Yeah, because now children have 3 heads.
Well, they shouldn't be eating the dirt under the house then.
I don't know what to tell you about that.
I saw someone on
Don't lick
TikTok
the
talking
don't
about,
lick the lead paint off the walls.
I saw someone on TikTok talking about Gen X. They're like, it's not like we were eating paint chips off the
Yes,
wall.
we
I mean,
were.
come on.
I
Lead paint chips.
wasn't.
I mean, our parents would
Me
leave for
neither.
days. We didn't have anything to eat. Sometimes
Yeah.
you had to.
Oh no. So I had a different Gen X upbringing. My grandma,
Yeah, you were hovered.
Yeah,
she was strict.
Well, and you weren't
I wasn't let
raised
out
by
her
a
sa-
boomer
her
either.
sight. Yeah.
That-
I
that's-
was raised by a silent generation.
Yeah, that's an
Oh,
important
okay.
distinction.
Yeah, that's a difference.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that
That's
is a
definitely
big-
different.
Well, and mine was sort of hybrid because I
Yeah,
grew
because
up-
you had everybody in the
yeah,
house.
I had the silent generation. I had the boomers. And
Had the Centurion generation.
yeah, they either there was no in between for me. They were either completely up my ass hovering. That was the
Or they were like,
silent-
Y'all, her great grandmother lived to be 107 years
Yeah.
old, and what was crazy is she didn't get around all that well, but she was still sharp as a tack.
Oh, her mind was good up till the very end. And a little funny story. So she died when I was 30, almost 40 years old.
Yeah.
And when I was a little kid, I was 5 years
Oh,
old
God.
when they moved in with my family. And so it was her daughter, and son-in-law.
Way to
So-
traumatize.
Yeah. And if anybody's ever wondered why is Brandy so fucked up, well, here's one of the first reasons. It's not the only reason by any stretch of the imagination, but so when I was 5, my great-grandmother, grandmother, and grandfather moved in with my parents and my siblings and I. And
I bet that was awesome.
yeah. And
That was not convincing.
it had its moments. But like there weren't, I mean, we needed a lot of bedrooms. And so the house that we were living in, I got to share a bedroom with my great grandmother. Now, mind you, she was in her 70s at the time. And
Lived to 107.
yeah, but she was in her late 70s, and she had broken a hip about the time I was 5 years old. And for a lot of elderly people, that's the end. And so that's when they started, Mama's not going to make it, Mama's going to die.
This is going to be her last
Yeah,
Christmas.
every year of my entire life was her last Christmas.
she's gonna die. Put her in bed with Brandy.
Yeah, and so I had to share a bedroom with her. Now, mind you, she was a tiny little woman, and apparently didn't have a whole lot of blood because she was always cold. And she would pile the blankets on, and so you have 5,000 blankets on you, plus one of them was a fucking heating blanket turned up to pits of hell. And so you're laying there, and you're in this bed with her, and this blanket, you're just like sweating. It's like, oh God. And the blankets are so thick and heavy on your little 5-year-old self, you can't barely turn over.
Yeah.
You're just there. You're just trapped. And every night I would lay there, because I've always had problems sleeping and stuff, and I would think, she's gonna die in this bed with me tonight, and I'm gonna wake up, and her body's gonna I'm gonna be in bed with her body. And so yeah, I don't know if that's when the anxiety started or the
You're trapped under the blanket. She's dead. I can't get out.
yeah, like I'm just gonna be stuck here with
But
a
you don't know
I'm
she's
just gonna
dead
cook
because she's
you
not
down
getting
under
cold.
here.
Yeah,
Because she's not getting cold because the fucking blanket's heated.
And like her corpse is sweating. I mean, oh my God! And you just don't like. Oh my God! And I'd hear that. Well, it's good. Now we need to make it special for Mama because it's going to be her last Mother's Day, Easter, Christmas, Halloween, Labor
We heard
Day.
that with Papa.
Okay,
Whatever.
So my grandfather, who was probably the toughest motherfucker I've ever met in my life, he had his first stroke. Now keep in mind, he used to be a diesel mechanic. Then they moved back here, and he started his construction company. I've seen this motherfucker carry 90-pound bundles of shingles 2 at a time up a ladder onto a roof. Just trolleying these motherfuckers like it wasn't nothing. Okay, he had his first stroke when I was probably 14, 15. Didn't stop him, didn't slow him down. Well, ultimately he wound up having 8 or 9 before it finally did him in.
Yeah,
I think the 7th one was when he was actually bedridden. But my Aunt Sue, who's also passed away now,
So we can talk mad shit about her now.
yeah, she doesn't care. Every fucking year,
Yeah.
Papa, oh my God, he's got the sniffles. We better call everybody.
Oh, Lord.
Jesus Christ, he's fine.
Oh, so you want?
We had
you
a
would
lot
get
of
called for death watch.
Oh yeah, we had a
Yeah.
lot of
We get-
family
yeah.
reunions.
Yeah, we used to do that a lot too. It's like, everybody get here quick. And so everybody's driving, and then you get there and you're just looking around like,
Yeah,
Now
well,
what?
but we're not talking about, it's an hour drive.
Yeah.
I've got uncles that live in Indiana. I've got
Yeah.
uncles that live in fucking Texas.
cross country trek.
Yeah.
Minnesota. Was it Minnesota they were working? North Dakota?
North
Something
Dakota,
like
I
that.
think, yeah. And it's like, shit, man, you costing motherfuckers thousands of dollars
Yeah.
because he hiccuped.
Well, and not to mention the mental anguish.
Yeah.
Of trying.
Over and over and over.
Yeah, and it was the same shit. Well, I thought this was it.
Yeah. Been
Which,
there, done that.
I know it sucks at the time having to repeat this, but it's like when it finally does happen, I think you're not as
Sensitized.
upset as you would
Yeah,
be
it's almost
because
like.
it's like, okay, now they can finally rest. And
Well, it's
Right.
like every time
You've-
that it's happened
yeah,
before,
you've gone through all these
been
emotions.
slightly desensitized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you realize if it's that exhausting for you to go through all that,
Oh, my God,
how
yeah.
hard is it for them?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
like when my mammy died, that was my great grandmother. And I mean, of course, it was heartbreaking. But she was 107 years old. It's not like it came out of the clear blue sky. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
right. It was-
eventually, and I'm
Kind of like, it's kind of like when my grandpa died. He was 93.
Yeah.
93. He'd been bedridden for like fucking 7 years.
yeah,
I mean, I'm
I
sure
was
he
really
had been.
surprised he was bedridden so long.
Yeah, me too.
yeah.
I'm sure he was begging for death long before it came for him.
Well-
and yeah, was I sad? Oh God.
But there was also
But-
a healthy dose of relief.
Yeah,
on his
but it's
part.
like
Yeah.
it's not like we didn't see it coming.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, shit.
Eventually, I mean, my smart ass, I'd be thinking, did you think she was immortal? Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he was 45 and had a fucking car wreck.
Yeah, I don't care how old they are or how sick they've been. You're never ready. But when it's been drawn out like that, there's also a big part of you that's relieved for their sake because
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
like they've earned the peace and the yeah. I mean, my papa died when I was 17, and he was my absolute hero. I worshiped the ground he walked on. He was a tough motherfucker. He had lupus and he had rheumatoid arthritis, and so he was sick I never knew him when he was well. He was sick my whole life and had been sick long before I was born. And he was so tough. He was a mechanic too. He worked on John Deere tractors. And he couldn't, because the lupus had made his joints so painful and stuff, he couldn't walk. So this man would put himself in a radio flyer wagon and drag himself down the sidewalk to get to work.
Fuck that.
Basically, he car crawlered it with that radio flyer wagon to get to work, and that's how he worked on tough. Doesn't even begin. So, yeah, I
think at that point I'd have been looking into retirement.
Yeah.
not my papa. And
That's what mine did. He worked till the day he couldn't.
Yeah, it physically could not.
Yeah.
And part of that was, I think, because they lived through those really, really tough financial
The
times
Depression,
and stuff, and they were so afraid of their families going without, and so they were like, it became, they were afraid to not, And then part of it, I think, that was their work ethic. A lot of who they were and how they saw themselves was tied up in, what they did and how they provided.
And I think that, the whole landscape has changed now. I think a lot of that was you could be loyal to a company back then, I think, and the company would be
Me and
loyal
Amber were talking
to
about
you.
this the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
someone said something about pretty much just like that, and I told her, I was like, there's no reason to be loyal to a big company like Walmart or Target or whatever big company you work for. If you woke up under a bus tomorrow, they would replace you and not even remember your fucking name.
And the thing is, I think that changed somewhere around the late 70s.
I think so, because it didn't used to be that way.
I'll tell you when it changed. Walmart.
Well, that's
Walmart was if I'm not mistaken, and I could be, but I think Walmart.
Hang on. Speaking of Walmart,
okay,
Brandy placed an order, an online order, grocery order today
for our Christmas dinner,
and we got an employee discount. She's like, I wonder why we got an employee discount. I said, you're damn employee now. You check your own groceries out and bag them.
When I checked out, it said associate discount. I was like, what the fuck? But whatever.
Merry Christmas to me.
Yeah, it took $30 off my order, so I went with it.
But yeah, Walmart, if I'm not mistaken, was the first truly international big chain store.
But at the same time, I think
I don't know
Sam
if that's
Walton.
true.
Sam Walton was from that.
I think it was
older
just different.
generation, and I think it was run different when he was still here.
Yeah,
I think a lot of that's changed with Walmart.
Well, I don't know about Sam himself, but I know his kids were the pioneers of the "let's get it from China" shit.
Oh
yeah.
That's
exactly.
And not only that, Walmart. And I'm not even saying allegedly because I saw this on a fucking reality show. These guys were trying to. It was one of those where pitch your product to whoever, right?
Like
Yeah,
Shark Tank kind of thing.
it was kind of like Shark Tank, but it was
but
years
different.
before
Yeah.
that.
But he had this thing, whatever it was, and the representative from Walmart said, "How much does this cost you to make?" And he said, "My cost is 7 cents a piece." And he said, "We'll buy it for 5 cents a piece."
Oh yeah, no.
And he was like,
I don't think you.
he was like, "I'm gonna lose."
Yeah, I'm not going to pay you to put my
He was like, "I'm not
going
gonna
to
lose 2 cents a piece." He said, "You will if you want to sell it at Walmart."
Yep.
I'd be like, well, I don't.
I'd have been like, "You can go suck my dick then." I guess I'm
We're
not.
going to Kmart, bitch.
Yeah, I guess I'll just sell it on Amazon and you can go fuck yourself.
Well, that's just like Brandy back when she worked for a nonprofit. She used to have to give presentation at different Walmarts, and they would want to do it when they were having their store meeting because everybody'd be gathered around. So she'd have to stand there and listen to their little store meeting. Oh my God, I remember her coming home saying they were talking about this new product they were getting in such and such department, and the profit on it would be like 350%.
Yeah, because they're fucking the people that make it.
Oh, absolutely. And they're fucking their associates to a large degree.
Yes.
I mean,
and here's something I've never understood. So if and this actually has been changed, but several years ago, if I wanted to buy something from China, holy fuck, it was like an act of Congress.
Yeah.
They had to lie on the fucking customs form and everything.
Yeah.
But Walmart and Kmart and all the marts have been able to buy this bullshit from China for the last 25, 30 years. And it's like,
Because
What the fuck's-
they
what
they
do they
donate
get
to
to
all
it?
the political candidates, and they know.
I don't know what it was several years back when they made something with China where they could. I don't know what it was. I can't remember. That's when I was doing Etsy. Etsy was either handmade, vintage, or supplies.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what they
China
did.
floodgates, whatever
Yes.
it was,
Yes.
some kind of business thing
They
did.
made a trade deal with.
They flooded Etsy.
Well, and I got
You know
I got news
hold on.
for
You know what else happened around that time?
No.
Etsy started being publicly traded.
Yes.
And guess who bought them up? Ah, the Chinese people.
I mean, you can't find anything on Etsy.
Or
now that's
not
like
Chinese
China.
people, Chinese companies.
I mean,
Right.
literally, you can go on. There's now like business to business sites for just industries in China. There are whole cities in China where basically the whole downtown area is all little factories. You can get on their site and be like, okay, I like this, but I wish it had that, and you can spec it out. They'll make it exactly how you want it. Put your name on it.
Oh, this is funny. And I didn't realize this is what had happened until recently. So you can go on like AliExpress and stuff like that, and buy guitars, and it'll say like if I want to buy a PRS, which is a very expensive guitar,
you have that.
and it'll.
Yeah.
I mean, it's damn near identical.
But you know what?
Hold
Chris?
on. When I was in Colorado,
Yeah.
I sold a guitar on eBay and wound up having to ship it to China.
Yeah.
And it was an original, it wasn't some copy. That's when they were getting
like
all
a
these
copy.
and making their copies.
Oh, using as a template.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought about that a little while ago.
Well, used to, like in our maybe not so much our parents, but our grandparents, somebody could go to work for a company or an entity right out of high school and work their entire career there. You just really don't see that anymore. I mean, there are exceptions. Ross has been with his job.
I've been my
20
job 25 years.
Yeah, but that's not the norm anymore. And I think it's you work for a municipality, and that's different
And
when it's
it's
government.
unionized.
Yeah, well, it's
No.
he's
Not
Y'all
at all.
don't have a union?
no.
No. The one time we
Do you know you live in Arkansas?
20 years ago, the one time
We have a union?
we tried to have a union, the mayor just literally was like, and this
No.
is the old mayor, he was like, I'm not going to recognize them. I don't have to talk to them. They're not allowed in this
Mayor's
meeting.
like, and
blah,
I
blah,
say
blah.
no.
I mean, it was just like, they were like, okay, fine, whatever.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, see that, and I don't like.
But that's the laws here in Arkansas.
Yeah.
I don't like the whole right to work thing either.
Yeah.
If you work for a company for 10 years, they shouldn't be able to go, oh, you showed up 5 minutes late one time, you're fired.
I don't like your nose hair. Get out.
Yeah, exactly. Anything. Oh, so your glasses are crooked. Out the fucking door.
Yeah.
Oh, you're 2 weeks from retirement. See you
Fuck
later.
you and all the things you've accrued.
You're a lot.
And
That
that is
yeah,
one
that happens.
that happens way too much, and that is one way in which Ross is protected because he doesn't have a union, but he does. The Civil Service Commission is there and can prevent things like abuses like that. But that's only if you're like a government worker, whether it be city, state, federal.
Well, and also,
Well,
The average Joe doesn't have that protection.
We actually have 2 or 3 unions.
yeah.
Right. But that's
Well-
what I'm saying. But your average, I mean, because you're a government worker too.
Yeah.
But, Bob next door, if he's just working for Coca-Cola or whatever other big, doesn't have that.
And I'll tell you another thing that kind of irritates me, because I am not a fan of government mandating how businesses run their business.
No.
Right? Just as a general rule, I think that tends to go sideways.
But at the same time, I
But-
think there's certain things that do need to
Right.
be
yeah,
regulated.
and here's one of them. I think that from day one, people should have. I hate to say unlimited.
Insurance.
No, sick leave.
Oh, yeah.
Paid sick leave.
Well, I can tell you this.
Now,
my,
if you
my
get
job,
caught abusing it, hey, sorry, you got fired.
My job, I get
But
like 22 days a year sick leave.
I get 4 hours of
actually
paycheck.
I actually have 3,700 hours.
We're going to cash that out and buy an RV when he retires.
Yeah, yeah. See, I get
I was-
4 hours of pay period. I think I've got eight or 900, maybe 1,000 hours.
I was watching a video of
Because I don't ever call
America.
it sick.
But you haven't been
versus-
there 24, 25 years like I have.
I have been
So
At
what,
least
15?
with
16?
my current
15?
federal position since 2007.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So I was watching a video differences between America and Germany, and they were talking about sick leave. And so he was telling her, in America, we have this thing called sick leave. You accrue,
Yeah.
depending on how many hours you work. She's looking all confused, and she's like, so when you get sick, what? He said, well, when you get sick, you can use these days. And she said, well, what if you run out of days?
No, when you get sick, you have to call and whine and
Hope your boss will accept it.
exactly.
Yeah.
She said, well, what about if you don't have any days? He said, well, then you have to go without pay. And then he said, what about Germany? She said, well, when you're sick, you're sick.
Like, what do you...
He said, but, do you still get paid? She's like, yeah, they'll pay you. You can have up to 3 days before you have to go to a doctor. Mm-hmm. After that...
So, like, if you've got some little something or another, you know...
after that, you need a doctor's note. And they will pay you up to, I think she said 6 months. If you have something, like, really bad going on... Insurance will pick up after a certain time and pay you for up to 6 months.
But the bitch of that is you are going to have so many people who abuse that.
But there
Well, you
are
do have that
so many
here.
people that abuse it the way we have it now.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
like
But I mean, at that point, they need to have doctor
Right.
reference.
Because you can only go the 3 days.
Yeah.
how many hours I had saved up. One of my coworkers, he's been there 30 years, 31 years. He got burned and literally was at the Children's Hospital burn unit because that was the best burn unit in the state. And I think he missed like 4 months recovering
Wow.
from that. And didn't miss a single check because, like me, he had,
He'd already been there a long time at this
3,000
point.
hours or something like that saved up.
Yeah, I mean, I've got... Because I rarely take leave, and I don't ever call in sick. I mean, fuck, I work from home.
If I call in sick, I'm sick.
Unless I'm in the hospital,
Yeah.
I can crawl my ass
Ross
over there.
actually
what about
uses
your-
more of his sick time on me. Like,
Right,
being
that's-
at the hospital with me. Or,
Well, and that's
with
when
your
I
sick
use
time,
my...
is it use or lose like your other?
No.
It just
No,
keeps
my
accruing?
it just piles
Right.
on like mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can carry over 240 hours of annual leave.
Yeah,
right.
that's what
And
Which
the
is
rest
just like general
use it or
purpose
lose it.
vacation.
Yeah.
Like this year, I carried over 235 hours.
Yeah, see, we have sick leave, we have comp time, which is in lieu
I don't
of
work for comp
which
time.
is in lieu of overtime pay.
Now I know
We
what's in
have-
lieu of.
We have personal leave.
Right, that's what we call annual leave.
Yeah,
Well, no, then he also has annual
and
leave.
then I also have vacation.
Personal
So-
leave, you get like
so-
so many days every...
What is it?
For
5
what?
days, 7 days from now, I'll get 6 days
like
of personal leave.
like mental health leave, like
Or
something like
like
that, or
No,
No,
it's
but
just
like taking
personal
care of... Like, I gotta go do my tags.
I
or
need off.
bullshit. Yeah.
Screw you, bye.
Oh shit!
Yeah. But yeah, Ross actually, he hardly ever uses, I mean, like, most of the time he uses sick leave, like if he has to, I'm in the hospital and he stays with me the whole time.
Right,
or
right.
something like that. That's most of what he uses. There's no telling if it weren't for me how much sick leave he'd have accumulated.
But,
Yeah, because if I got to go, run an errand or whatever, I got to take annual leave
Yeah, no, he...
or
like,
try to do it on Friday afternoon when I'm off.
Yeah. How much do you, like, what do you get, 2
What?
personal leave days every...
No, I literally the 1st of January, I will get 6 days of personal leave.
Oh, okay.
That's for the whole year.
Yes,
Okay.
but then I'll.
do you have to use a day at a time, or can you use like
Oh, I can use whatever.
3
I want.
hours?
I can use whatever I
Okay.
want.
Yeah, and he doesn't have
really
like it doesn't have
awesome.
to
I
be
wish I
like an
had that.
8-hour or like no.
Like I really need to start banking up comp time because when I go to retire, they will pay me for 240 hours of comp time,
Okay.
240 hours of vacation, and then 90 days of sick leave.
See, when I retire,
And like I don't really use a whole lot. I don't really take a lot of comp time.
well,
I take some, but then it was like
The only time that I will accept comp time as a form of payment is when I don't have a choice because it's comp time for travel. So if I travel somewhere and it's over 8 hours, like let's say it's 10 hours, they'll give me 2 hours of fucking comp time or whatever. But other than that, I don't.
But if you went to retire and they were going to pay you for 240 hours of comp time,
Then you'd start accepting.
I think
No,
you'd bank it up.
because ours has I can't carry over comp time from.
well, you can
From
only
1 year to the
carry
next.
over 240 hours.
Yeah, so
Anything
we
you
can't
get
carry over any
over
comp time.
240 hours, you have to use
Right.
every year or lose it. But when you go to retire, if you have 240 hours saved up, they will pay you for it.
Yeah. See, we have to use ours every
Yeah.
by the end of every calendar year. I don't want comp time anyway, but they will pay me for unlimited sick leave and I think it's up to 240 hours of.
I mean,
annual
that's
leave.
my job. I like the job. I like the work. My only issue for a long time has been my supervisor,
Yeah.
and he's gone, and
got his.
I'm in his position. So I love work. I mean, now I'm not going to stay there until I'm 70 something years old.
Oh,
No,
no,
me
I
neither.
already have the countdown counting down.
Calm down. I still have to have health insurance. You're covered, but I'm not.
We'll figure it out. I've already got a plan.
All right. Do we have anything else we want to talk about on this
I don't
one?
think
I don't
so.
know.
We've
What are we
thoroughly squirreled all over the map on
Yeah,
this
I
one.
know.
We're
Look,
at 55
our three
minutes.
listeners,
Yeah, I think that's good.
thanks for being here. You know we're going to
Yes.
squirrel. That's just how we roll.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
And I forgot to write down hashtags. So I'm gonna look at 2.
Wow.
Now we're going to have to listen to our episode to see.
We're happy to be back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's good to be
definitely.
back.
All right. Y'all be
Merry
good.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
All right. Bye.